What got you started in this sport, as I call it, muscle and masculinity? Please share.
You know what? Actually, it's funny because it started when I was younger, and I spent a lot of time with my mother's best friend, Chris Day, in Canada, and I spent a lot of time with her because growing up, my family life wasn't the greatest. Had a lot of stuff going on. I'm not going to go into too deep of detail because I'm actually thinking about writing a book, and I kind of want to hold all that back. But anyways, she was into bodybuilding in Canada, and I was only about 12 years old. And, to me, when I saw her, I was like, she was just huge and strong. And, she took me to the gym with her sometimes, showed me how to eat, told me how important protein was. This is at a very young age, but I just really admired her because I felt like not only was her personality strong, but her body was strong and her mental state was strong. And everything that I was going through at such a young age, for me, that just, equated, if I want to be strong and get through this, then I need to be strong physically as well as mentally and emotionally. And that's really what got me started in it, was just like reading all of her books whenever I went over to her place, sitting there watching her go through contest preps. She was all natural at that point, I mean, as a 12-year-old kid, even if she wasn't going to say it. But she competed in a few different competitions. I remember we used to go and train at a gym in Canada. It was in Kitchener, and it was called Popeyes. Now we're talking very, very, very long time ago, like almost 40 years ago. So I'm spilling my age out a little bit there. So yeah, so that's how it basically started with me. I still talk to her to this day. Her and I are good friends, and yeah, so that's what got me here.
Well, that's
You
like I
know,
said. That's a lot of people. They find a way because of somebody that inspired them, and your friend inspired you, and it's an amazing story. And like I said, when you have your book put out, I would love to read it because I need to read more books. I'm getting to the point where I read too much. I do too much stuff on the social media, but I love to read books when I get the opportunity. And yeah, and also I remember seeing somewhere that one point doing before you became a bodybuilder, you were even a professional wrestler.
I was actually in Canada. I was training at a training camp for the WWE. So I got to wrestle and do the dark matches. And my last wrestling partner was with. I should have gave sent you a picture so you could show it. Was with. You'll remember him hopefully. The Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah, Honky Tonk Man. Yeah, I remember you. Oh yeah, him and Jimmy Hart.
Yeah, yeah. So him and I did a tag team, but I grew up like I started wrestling. I was wrestling with Gail Kim, Beth Phoenix. Let me see who else was in there. I even got John Cena before he was big, like all these guys, and it was a fun time. The reason I didn't last very long before I actually got to, I mean, I made a few appearances, like at the Toronto Sky Dome at the time it was called, and my name at the time was Princess of Power, and I would come out in all like leather and stuff. And I had a little side boy who I would put on a dog collar and a leash, and he would come behind me. It's like, so it was good. It was a good stage. It was a good experience. Unfortunately, I was doing an Oklahoma roll. Not sure if you know what that is, but it's where the your partner's on their all fours. You go and you grab them underneath the belly, and you flip over them and flip them and pin them. So when to do that, the girl that I went and leaned on to flip over, her all fours basically went boom down to the mat. I didn't get to tuck my head, so my forehead caught the mat, flipped us over, and I twisted my head, dislocating four vertebrae in my neck.
Ooh.
Yeah, they literally thought I broke my neck. Thank God I didn't. I just basically they were all like slipped the four discs. So
Yeah.
I was out for a bit, and I decided, you know what, this just isn't worth it. Just is not worth it. So it was fun. It was an experience. It was great, And that really, set the stage for me to continue working out and pushing myself even harder to go into bodybuilding. But wrestling at that time, it was like a big thing. China and Lita and the Hardy Boys, Rey Mysterio. It was a lot of fun. When I look at the wrestling now in the WWE with the women, I wouldn't be in it anyways. Let's
Well,
just put it that way. Like, you remember Jazz, all those people, man. That was just an awesome time. A really, really awesome time. Now, I think the women of WoW, now they're good. They are good.
yeah, actually, I watch WoW. I watch it every Sunday. It comes on
Do
in a
you?
local channel here, 6 o'clock
Yeah,
every Sunday. It reminds me of Glow back in the day. When I
yeah,
was a kid, I used to love Glow. Well, at the time I was in my pubescent age, and my favorite was Spanish Red. She's so sexy that red, and she, just
yeah.
that. My nephews, my one nephew, his favorite was the Russian chick. you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, growing up, I watched wrestling. I grew up with because here in the South, we didn't get to watch WWF, WWE that much because they usually come on like maybe once a month on NBC Network, like Saturday night specials.
But
And
what's funny though is wrestling, sorry to cut you off, in the South there, especially where you are, is really popular.
yeah,
It is like probably one of the biggest draws right there. And I know there's a couple of really good schools there that are sub of the WWE, where
hmm
they actually train them before they get into the WWE
hmm
and their contacts. And it's just, and so I'm surprised that it wasn't really available there.
well, growing up, I watched like Chief Wahoo McDaniel, Magna TA, Dusty Rose, The Nature Boy, woo, Ric
Yeah,
Flair,
Ric Flair.
uh, those guys. I mean, I just watched. I was watching a special about Junkyard Dog back in the day.
Yeah,
Hulk Hogan. I just don't want to get on here. Undertaker. Used to love to watch him, but I
I wasn't a fan either.
yeah, and guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's one of my favorites.
Absolutely, I
Shout out to
love
Stone
Stone Cold.
Cold. Sometimes I joke because I got two bad knees like Stone Cold. He
Yeah,
just really was just crazy. Here is this from my man Lawrence Perkins. Shout out to man Lawrence Perkins says, "Good morning, Melody and George. Thank you, brother." Also, he says, "Melody, you open doors for a lot of people in the industry of bodybuilding, including the world as well." Thank you, Lawrence. And also,
oh,
he has
thank you,
here
Lawrence.
also, it says, I would love to read your book as well when start putting out there one day as well, Miss Melody. And he has one more. He says, me and my brothers watching wrestling. Yeah, me and my brothers and used to
Yeah,
watch like we had like Raw and
yep,
had Nitro.
absolutely.
We used to like
Yes,
because we watched Nitro
Yeah,
first.
Monday Night Raw. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I kind of like don't really, like other than maybe every now and then I might follow some people like Jade Cargill. I'm a fan of hers. If she has great physique, she has great
yeah.
potential. Um, Still like John Cena, he's not like the
Uh,
same he used to be.
Hey,
But
you know
yeah,
what though? But look at what he's doing. Like, he
yeah,
has advanced himself, and that was the one thing. When I was getting into the wrestling, um, you got to have something to fall back on. The same with bodybuilding. You have to have a career to fall back on. Because I'm going to tell you right now, while you're in it and you're beginning, all you see is stars and bangles and banners, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to be the world's this. Okay, but tell me when you get hurt or if you get sick, where are you going after this? Not to be a Debbie Downer, but it's the reality. And it was a harsh reality for me when I got sick. I'm like, well, what am I going to do now?
hmm
Because bodybuilding was all I did for almost 14 years,
hmm
you know? So we can get into more of that later, but you got to you got to have something to fall back on. That's all I'm going to say.
yeah, I
Got to have
understand.
something to fall back on.
I understand because think about this is not like back in the day. Most of those wrestlers didn't really make a lot of money.
Yep.
The promoters and
Oh,
the
yeah.
organizers making lots of money. Like,
Yeah.
and then you remember that story a while back that Jason Bonventura wanted to start union for wrestlers, but
Yes.
particular one person who I don't, like I said again, I'm not a fan much of anymore. He
Yeah.
snitched and he messed that up for a lot of wrestlers. Because anything I
Yeah.
do content on mixed martial arts and MMA, and they
Yeah.
also would want to try to push a union, but organizations don't want them to have that. Some of those
Yeah.
guys don't get paid as much as boxers. Even the lowest ranked boxer gets paid more than the highest top
Yeah.
MMA fighter. But
Absolutely.
so when was the? I think you started around about the 2000s when you made your bodybuilding debut, or when was that?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I think it was 2000. I want to say 2007, 2008. I want to say 2007. I think. Um, and I just did like a couple, the warm up shows because back in Canada, I don't know if they still do it now, but we used to have the levels. So you had to compete at level one, and you had to place in the top three. Then they would move you to level two, and you'd have to place in the top three. Then to level three, and you had to place in the top three. Now, if at any point, say I was in level two or even level three, and I don't place in the top three, you have to go back down a level, back down to level two,
Hmm.
and place in the top three to get back into level three. And it's not until you make it to the nationals and you place in the top six, then you can stay at that level and keep trying to get your pro card. But Canada at that time made it really hard. And that's why, when I turned pro, it was really hard to turn pro in Canada. We had only one show to turn pro, and you had to be in the top. No, actually, you just had to win. Um, and that's how you got your pro card. So it took you a really long time to get your pro card, but the shows were always stacked, always. And the reason being is because we were forced to go through those amateur levels and move up. And every year you just got better and better and better. And then by the time you actually turned pro, you were ready to compete as a pro. You weren't just looking like an amateur that needed to be putting on another 10, 15 pounds of money of muscle.
Well, you say right, 10, 15 pounds of money. That's what you need
Yeah,
to be.
and that's about right too. You need to find something to do
Yeah,
because no joke, this sport is expensive.
yeah. I talk about me. Keith talk about this on my podcast. We talk about how the cost of y'all between for y'all women, the cost is more expensive compared to the guys. The guys that put on a banana hammock and a pair of board shorts. That's about
Yeah,
it. You ladies have to pay for your hair, your makeup, and
yeah,
just think about the cost of traveling to the shows. Then when you get your pro card, it costs you to pay for the pro card,
eh,
and everything else that comes with it. Plus,
yeah,
also coaches and
yeah.
posing and
And even okay,
recovery.
and George, and this is the God's honest truth. I'm not going to say the name of the person who told me this, but when I was competing in Canada and I did my first Canadian nationals, and I didn't win my pro card. I had one of the judges from that show, very high up in the organization, pulled me aside and said, "Hey, at the time I had like my front teeth were a little bit crooked. He's like, you need to fix your teeth and get boobs, literally." And I was like, "What?" I'm like, "Are you serious right now?" He said, "Yeah, because it would make a whole world of difference." He's like, "You only lost by a few points." He's like, "If you get your boobs done and you get your teeth fixed, you'll be good to go." Sure enough, I said, "Okay, fine." I had somebody who's a very good friend of mine said, "Hey, I'll get it done for you." And I'm like, "Well, you don't have to, I'll figure it out." And he's like, "No, if that's going to make you get your pro card and make the difference for your life, then, we're going to do it." And so I did it. And sure enough, the next year, didn't I win? And I got my pro card. So there's another expense.
Hmm.
I know a lot of women have won without getting their boobs done, but let's compare how many have and how many have, you know what I mean? You're going to see a lot more women that have gotten some altercations done or alterations to their body in order to win. And at the end of the day, it's all about looks too,
Mhm.
especially for the woman.
Yeah, because
They need something they can sell.
you presented something. You have to maintain both this bit of femininity, also
Yep.
have that muscle together. Like one person that sticks out, I think somebody um, Wendy Masters. She was like, you know, just her body was crazy. I mean,
You know what, George? She is still awesome. She looks like she did the day that she competed and got her pro card. Like I swear, that woman has got a fountain of youth in her. She's got not one wrinkle on that face. Like it's like she hasn't aged. She's pristine. She looks great. She's my best friend. There isn't a day that goes by that we don't talk. Yeah, and she's just an awesome person, awesome soul, and she put a lot into it. Like she loves this sport more than any other female that I've met.
Hmm.
Like seriously.
Well, I've been in contact with her. I'm hoping maybe someday to get her on here and do an interview with her. I think her. I think her and I would say honestly, her and Denise Messino brought
Yeah,
in a lot more sex appeal to women's bodybuilding. I was a fan of
absolutely.
before. I mean, but then those two just brought a certain level. Especially as you know, they were very well. I can't, the guy. Me personally, as a fan, I'm not a be all boob guy.
Yeah,
Especially but sometimes I'm still a man.
of
We get
course.
drawn by like but
Absolutely.
yeah. But I do prefer some of the women like Andrea Shaw, somebody Sheeta Black, classy
Like,
others.
oh yeah, like
Yeah,
Andrea Shaw, she looks absolutely phenomenal. So does Sheila Black. They didn't need any of that. Like, they don't need the boobs and all the other stuff that goes along with it. Their bodies are just so phenomenal. And Andrea Shaw, she's great in every single stage of it. Like, she just doesn't have the muscle, the size, the symmetry. She's also extremely pretty and attractive. She keeps herself very well. She's very well spoken. She treats. I have not seen a negative comment come out of her mouth, not one time. She's just got a really good personality, a good spirit, and those are the kind of women that you want to see at the top. That's kind of those. That's what I want to see representing our sport. I don't want to see any negativity. The girls should just all be like sticking together like a team. Not little cat marks or remarks on outside of it. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
yeah, Andrea Shaw, and then and Sheila Black, two of the top on my list. Absolutely, Sheila made her mark in this sport. She's an amazing woman. She's one of the best performers the sport has ever seen. That's my opinion. As far as doing her routine, she's the one who started bringing in all this crazy, you know, floor routine stuff, and really having great routines put together and doing great routines for other people now.
hmm yeah. That's
Yeah,
pretty good because I know I talked to a lady who just got a pro card named Sharon. She's got a pro card at North Americans, and she works with Sheila.
yeah,
And I knows people who know Sheila, and also with Andrea. A while back, a friend of mine was at the Olympia last year, and she got this magazine for me. And I know this is the thing I always love about this because this is why I enjoy what I do. When I do this content, when I have someone like Andrea Shaw take the time, don't even know me, and
yeah,
tell me and sign this magazine for me and
yeah,
tell me that she appreciates my support and she loves me. And I'm a fan. I love her. I think I used to have a little thing. My big bro Keith. He used to work with her and John. Her whole
yep,
trainer. He had
yep,
that picture of him hugging her. I used to say, "Hey, yeah," but you know what? Me and my brother, we're cool, we're calm. I'm happy
yeah.
that he's back. So I'm not gonna get jealous of it
Oh,
anymore.
I love
I
Keith.
I get jealous with other people when they be
Yeah.
around my woman, but not my brother. I love him. We got a comment from this is from my man Stephen Praise says, love Sheila Black. Yeah, she had a great physique. I know,
Yeah,
great physique. I mean, there's a long list of women.
yeah.
So when you made your pro debut, what was that feeling like that first time you became a pro?
Um, it was nerve wracking. It was because you really at that point the women were so all bang on. They are now too. Um, my biggest fear was coming in big enough and hard enough and being able to compete with these women. I think my best show was in maybe was it 2012 or 2013 when I competed in Toronto. Um, I was absolutely conditioned beyond conditioned, and I was up there, and it was first call out was actually. Do you remember Rita Bella and Frida's a girl from Brazil, blonde hair? She actually had won the show. Rita came in second, and funny enough, everybody thought I was going to be third. Well, the night had changed, and then Jennifer, uh, she was, I trained her. I can't remember her name now, her last name.
Okay.
She came in third, and I came in fourth. Um, you want to know the ironic part about that show is I actually coached her. So, an athlete that I coached beat me. But that just shows you what kind of coach I am. I'm still going to bring you in the absolute best I can and make sure that you are